Yesterday at this time I spoke of the man who, through his care of the sick and poor of Rome, was named the Apostle of Rome. You remember the man who was said to have preached standing on his head, St. Philip Neri. Well, today is the feast of an Italian Benedictine monk who became known as the Apostle to the English, St. Augustine of Canterbury. Though early missionary attempts were made, the gospel of Christ had failed to take root in England, except in small pockets of Celts. So around 595, Pope Gregory the Great sent Augustine and a delegation of some 40 monks here. Augustine and his band of monks heard stories of the ferocious Anglo-Saxons and the treacherous waters of the English Channel. Augustine promptly made a U-turn back to Rome, where Pope Gregory assured him and the other monks that his fears were groundless. So they arrived in Britain. They constructed a church and a monastery at Canterbury, on the site where the present and now famous Canterbury Cathedral stands. Augustine was consecrated its first bishop. And by 597, thousands of people were coming to actively seek baptism there. Most of us do not receive letters from the Pope telling us to go and evangelize a particular nation or region. But all of us have received the commission of our Lord to go and make disciples of all nations. All of the baptized have that same vocation of laboring for the spread of the gospel. And we do need more laborers because the harvest is rich, as Jesus says in the gospel. We need many more laborers, particularly to offer their lives in the ordained ministry. But comparing with Augustine, we also live in a culture much like that he found when he came here. Vestiges of Christian faith mingled with pagan elements, perhaps. In a letter to Augustine, Pope Gregory the Great wrote, "He who would climb to a lofty height must go by steps, not leaps." The task of evangelization might seem like a lofty mountain, and there will often be that temptation to return home out of fear with our task incomplete. But we can make great inroads through small steps. Conversations with non-Catholics, little acts of charity towards strangers, imitating Christ in all our attitudes and choices, consistency and love. Through the prayerful intercession and holy example of Augustine of Canterbury, we ask that we may be faithful to all the Lord calls us to do this day, for the glory of God and the salvation of souls. After all, it's missionary territory out there. Are we up for it? Surely we can make steps, if not leaps. Augustine did.